Let's look at this video from YouTube. Boeing 787 is taking off, and look at the takeoff. It's a great and wonderful takeoff. Did you ever get a chance to think about how many takeoffs happen every day, or how many planes are flying at one time in the sky, or how many passengers they are taking from one place to another place? Let's have a look. I'm on planefinder.net website, and on this website we can track the real-time information of the flights. So this map shows some part of the UK airspace, and we can see some planes in the UK airspace. So you can see these planes moving, and we can get some information about these planes and the flight details as well. If I zoom out a little bit more, and let's see what's happening in the Euro region. So we have this UK and some other countries of the Europe. We can see some more flights now. Although it's 1 a.m. in the morning and we don't expect a lot of flights at this time, only the long haul flights might be operating at this time. But when we check this website at the daytime, we see more than 2000 flights in the sky at that time. At the moment it is showing around 1190, and 88 out of them we can see on our screen. The other thing, this planefinder.net, I don't expect that it shows all the planes in the world. I noticed like many of the flights in Asia do not show up on here. So my idea to show you this is just to get an idea, like even this one website shows during the daytime shows more than 2000 flights that are aeroplanes that are flying at the daytime. And if we collect everything from the rest of the world, it will be many more. And by the way, these are only the passenger aeroplanes. What about other army and other kind of aeroplanes? So the count will be much higher. Let's have a look at another video from YouTube. This video shows some part of the assembly line of BMW 5 Series. Last year I also got a chance to visit one of the plant here in Oxford where they assemble a BMW Mini. That trip was organized by IET, Institute of Information Engineering and Technology. That was a nice trip. The information that I would like to share with you is that one plant where they assemble Mini in Oxford, the count is like one car is coming out of that plant every minute, and that plant they operate more than 20 hours a day. So there is only few hours where they rest to do some maintenance or some other kind of work, but most of the time the assembly lines are operating. So one car is coming out of that plant every minute. Now we know there will be hundreds of these kind of plants in the world. So if all these plants are operating more than 16, 15 or 20 hours a day, that means we are making maybe more cars than the seconds. So I have done some calculation, and based on that we have 31 million seconds in 1 year. That is like 60 seconds in 60 minutes, then 24 hours a day, and then 365 days a year. So that total comes to 31 million seconds in a year. Now we will see how many cars do we produce in 1 year. Okay, this is the website Worldometers. It shows some real-time world statistics, and on here I am checking the car produced in this year. So we can see the count is increasing so fast. It's like maybe 2 or 3 per second. So and this is the cars produced this year. That means in 3 months, it's 8th of April, so March, April, so only in 3 months we have produced around 16 million cars. 3 months and 8 days. So if we exactly talk about 3 months, let's say it's 15 millions. So 15 millions in 3 months, that means 60 million cars in 1 year. And how many seconds did we see? Yes, 31 million seconds and 60 million cars. That means every seconds we are producing 2 cars. Now let's check about technology, some information about the technology. Based on the advancement that we have done in technology, what we require, we want all our information, all our services online. We prefer to do everything over the web, over the internet, and then we don't expect a slow response. We want to go onto a website, we want to access some service, and we won't want any delay. We expect everything to show up very fast. When we press a button, we want the things happen quickly, no matter it is over the web or local. And also another thing, we want all the information available everywhere, on our journey, on in our office, at our home, wherever we are, in the park, wherever we are, we want our services to work over there, on our laptops, on our iPads, on our books, notebooks, on our smartphones. So we want connectivity and services and all the information available everywhere. At the right now, there are more laptops and computers in the world than the smartphones. But by the end of this year, 2012, the number of smartphones will increase than the collective amount of computers and laptops. So by the end of 2015, 3 years from now, 1 zettabyte will move over the web. Now, what is 1 zettabyte? So let's go to Wikipedia and see. We know megabyte and gigabytes and terabyte. We are entering to the age of terabytes now. The disks that we are getting in our new and advanced PCs, they are like 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. But if we get an average laptop these days, the disk is still 500 GB or 600-700 GBs. So we say we are entering to the age of terabytes for the normal disks. But when we talk about the bigger storage, we talk about terabytes, then petabytes, then exabyte, and then zettabyte. So zettabyte is really huge amount. And by the end of 2015, zettabytes, the data that will flow over the web, over the internet, will be in zettabytes. That means it's a huge amount of data. If I say every person has a device that is connected to the internet, then I'm talking about the past. Not about the past that happened few months ago, but a past that happened many years ago. At the moment in 2012, on average, there are 2 devices for every person in the world that are connected to the internet. So if we are 6 or 7 billion people right now, that means it's 11 or 12 billion devices like smartphones or other gadgets that are connected to the web right now. And if we talk about 2015, that count is gonna increase to 3.5 for every person. And in 2016, it will be 6 times the population of the world. Now that doesn't mean like everybody will have 6 phones, but the trend will increase to other appliances, home domestic appliances, like maybe my fridge is connected to the web, or other devices, the toys that the kids use at home, they might be connected using some other technology. They might be connected to the web and might access some other online services from there. Now all this advancement has caused our data warehouses, the huge data warehouses where we store all this kind of data. And these data warehouses, what they contain computers on racks that operate 24 hours and 7 days a week. Another concept brought up by Amazon, and that is also causing a big, revolutionary kind of effect, and the things are moving towards that trend, and that is called cloud. Cloud is like all these big vendors, they're introducing their own clouds where we can build our own web-based applications and can provide to the end user. Now, these clouds provide some infrastructure and some base level services that the other uses to develop their applications. Now, the trend is increasing and the things and the data are going towards the cloud. So, there is a speculation that by 2020, one third of data will be in the cloud. That means will be stored in the cloud. So we won't be storing our documents or the pictures or movies on our laptops or smartphones, but they will be mostly stored in on the web, and most of the data will be stored inside the cloud. So the thing that I mentioned, like available everywhere and available every time, that will be more possible once we have everything on the web, everything on the cloud. So no matter which device we have, wherever we are, we just connect to the cloud, we just connect to the internet, and we access our data. Now we talk about how many humans we have. So right now we have around 7 billion people in the world. If you want to confirm, let's see what worldometer is showing us. Okay, so worldometer is showing us this uh, current world population, and it's more than 7 billion right now. Okay, now what this all has in common? Well, I'm talking about aeroplanes, cars, technology, and human. So let's come to the point. The common thing in all this discussion so far is like the aeroplanes, cars, technology, what they do. They operate, they move, and they do some work, they do some task for us. And even the humans, we move, we breathe, we run, we do some tasks. And when we talk about doing something, moving, operation, doing any work, any task, we use energy. We need energy to do any task, to do any movement. And that is the point that I want to come to. Now, what are the sources of the energy for us? The biggest and the most common source and the direct source is the sun. So every day we get lot of energy from the sun. Some of the energy is stored and can be used later. And then there are other sources like fuel, coal, gas, wind, and nuclear. Now, when we talk about energy, how do we really measure it? That's the point. When we say we get energy, how much energy do we get? That means we need to have a unit so that we can measure the energy, the amount of energy. So we have different units. One is called joule, calorie, and kilowatt hour. So I don't want to go to the scientific explanation or scientific definitions of these units, but when we talk about joule, for a common man, it's the energy that is required to pick up an apple upward 1 meter. And then calorie, we know a human being needs more than 3000 calories a day, and 1 calorie is 4.2 joules. And when we talk about electricity, the appliances that we use at our home on electric current, we talk about watts and kilowatts and amperes. And what is that? Imagine you have a heater which uses 100 watts. Oh, sorry, 1000 watt. If we run a heater that uses 1000 watts for 1 hour, the energy that it has consumed is 1 kilowatt hour. Or in other words, 1 meter square gets 1000 kilowatt hour per annum from the sun. Now, how do we calculate kilowatt hours? We are familiar with this light bulb. The light bulbs come in different levels, like some of them are 40 watts, some 60 watts, and some are 100 watts. Imagine we have a 100-watt bulb at home. How will we calculate its kilowatt hour? So the formula is like we use the watt. So 100 watts, how many hours we use it on every day, and the number of days, and divided by 1000. So we say this 100-watt bulb is kept on for all the times, 24 hours. and we will see how much energy it has used. So 100 watt 24 hours a day, 365 days a year divided by 1000, and that comes to 867 kilowatt hour. And if we replace this bulb with this energy saver which uses only 20 watt, that means 20 multiplied by 24 hours, then multiplied by 365 divided by 1000, it's 175 kilowatt hour. And how much energy do we humans use? One person needs around 1000 kilowatt hour per year. We move, we run, we maintain our temperature. So for all this we need energy as well. When we eat, we get the energy from that. So how much energy do we need a year? On average we need 1000 kilowatt hour per year, and we are 7 billion. So that means 7 billion multiplied by 1000 kilowatt hours. That's the amount of the energy that the humans need to survive. Okay, then the key point is, when we use energy, when we consume energy, we are producing carbon out of it. Now, every human being, every person, when we inhale, we take fresh oxygen in, and within our body, the process happens and we use fresh oxygen and we make carbon dioxide, and when we exhale, we take the carbon dioxide out. So every day, 24 hours a day, we breathe, and this breathing process produces 0.9 kilogram of CO2 every day. And when we talk about the technology, and obviously this technology involves so many devices like laptops, switches, so many things, with long list. So let's take an example of the laptop. So my laptop says it uses 19.5 volts and around 6 amps. Some of the devices at our home, they directly tell us the power they use in watts, like we mentioned the heater. The heater could be 1000 watt, 2000 watt, or maybe 2.5 thousand watts. And then energy savers come in different ranges like 10 watt, 20 watt, 30 watt, 40 watt. And then these tube lights, they come in 40 watts, 60 watt, and the bulbs are like 60 and 100 watts. But if there is a device that watt is not mentioned and volts and amps are mentioned, then you can calculate the watts. So you multiply amps by the volts it uses, so that will be your watts. So if my laptop uses 19.5 volts and around 6 amps, that means it uses 117 watts. Now if I use my laptop on average 6 hours a day, then I will calculate the kilowatt hours. So 117 is the amount of watts, 6 hours a day, 365 the days of the year, and divided by 1000, that comes to 256 kilowatt hour. So if I use my laptop on average 6 hours a day, it will consume 256 kilowatt hours in 1 year. But it's not only the laptop when we talk about the connect, because my device is not what is the only thing when we talk about the technology and the internet. It Through the internet it connects to the background services. Now, to keep these services alive, we need huge infrastructure. We need big data warehouses. We need so many switches and so much mechanism to move the data around, then to store the data. And when we talk about data warehouses, they contain so many computers on the racks, and the biggest problem in the data warehousing is the environment. We need to keep the environment cooled down so that all this equipment doesn't get hot, because if it gets hot, the equipment won't perform. So air conditioning and all other security related information, and then the backup. So one warehouse, and then there will be backup contingency plans. So there is so much involved, like this infrastructure. To build up this kind of infrastructure, we have to spend a lot. Just imagine the Google search functionality. We do so many Google searches every day, but the infrastructure that Google has maintained to give us this efficient or quick search that we use every day, how much infrastructure they have employed. So when the calculation is done, and then the Google has picked up like how many searches are done every day, and how much infrastructure at the back is involved, and how much energy that whole infrastructure is using. They figured out like every Google search that we do, it produces 0.02 grams of the carbon, kilogram of the carbon, sorry, gram. So it produces 0.2 gram of carbon for every search. Now if we know how many searches are done every day, we can calculate exact amount of the CO2 produced by just Google search. And it's not the Google search over there, we check so many emails. I need to see this figure. It is either 0.02 grams, or it is, I think it is 0.2 grams. So anyway, this is the only Google search. You know, we check so many. We do emails, we do tweets, we do Facebook updates, and we do so much other stuffs on the. We update our images, we update our videos on the YouTube or so many other services. Now all these services at the back are operating huge infrastructures, and that involves data warehouses and other technical equipment using a lot of energy, producing a lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, now when we can exactly calculate how much electricity or how much energy our devices use, but this energy or this electricity comes from different sources. Some powerhouses generate electricity from coal, the others use natural gas. There are nuclear powerhouses as well, then hydroelectric, then wood. So I did some research and found out like if a powerhouse is generating electricity from coal, then to generate 1 kilowatt hour, that powerhouse base working on the coal will be generating 800 to 1050 grams of carbon dioxide. For natural gas, it's almost half, 430 to 460 grams per kilowatt hour. Nuclear and hydroelectric, you can see they are very environmental friendly, only 6 and 4 grams of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour. Wood is 1500. Of course, wood means like we burn and we don't plant any trees. Solar is 60 to 150. So if there are solar panels, that means 60 to 150 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour. Wind power is again varies with different parameters, 3 to 22. Oil and diesel is another big contribution in production of electricity, and that is around 821 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour. Now obviously every country, it's a mixture of these things. So say there is some percentage from coal, some natural gas, oil and diesel, wood, or hydroelectric or nuclear. So if we do an average of each country, how what is the proportion? Maybe there are countries which they produce more electricity from oil and diesel. There could be some countries using more coal, more natural gas, or nuclear or hydroelectric. So this will vary then for every country. But on average we can say if we mix up, if there is a mix up, so that means zero point 0.7 to 0.6 kilogram of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour. Okay, so this was electricity, the equipment that we use, our computers, TVs, other domestic appliances like fridge, washing machine, dryer, lighting, heating. And when we come to cars, we know they don't operate on electric, although the trend is increasing and now the more electric cars are coming into the market, but still the electric cars, the electric cars are not that visible. and we use petrol and diesel. Imagine a 1.6 liter car. How much kilowatt hours it needs? It needs 1000 kilowatt hours for 1000 kilometers. So every kilometer it moves, it consumes 1 kilowatt hour of energy. And we discussed about how much energy a human uses. So one person also uses 1000 kilowatt hours, but for how much time? In how much time? In 1 year. So one person uses 1000 kilowatt hour in 1 year, and a car consumes that energy only in 1000. So in maybe 10 to 12 hours. So the energy that one person consumes in a year, a car uses in few hours, 10 to 12 hours. And how much CO2 it produces? Depending upon the fuel type and the engine size, it varies. So 1 to 2 kilogram of carbon dioxide per liter. And in UK, because we are in miles, so a smaller car where the engine size is less than 1.5 and grams CO2, so it produces 390 or around 400 grams per mile. A medium car which is 1.5 to 2 liter, that is 430 grams of carbon dioxide per mile, and a large car, bigger car, engine size is greater than 2 liter, it is 600 grams per mile. So you drive your bigger car for 2 miles and you are producing more than 1 kilogram of CO2. Okay, now we talk about electric cars. Electric cars, obviously they are not that common yet, but when they will be common, each electric car will use more than 200 kilowatt hours for 1000 kilometers. So we can see a big difference here. The petrol or diesel cars are like 1000 kilowatt hour for 1000 kilometers, and over here it is 200 kilowatt hours for 1000 kilometers. So there is a good efficiency here. Now, how many kilometers or miles do you drive every day? That's the question. Now we talk about aeroplanes as well, and let's see how much carbon dioxide is there. For every 1000 kilometer, CO2 produced by the aeroplane is 80 to 150 kilogram per person, depending upon the aeroplane. So if we talk about Boeing 747, the calculation says that 107 kilogram is produced for every person that is flying in that 747. Now if there is a long flight, so maybe from Asia to America, the the carbon dioxide that this whole flight will produce, and if we divide it with the people, with the persons that has traveled with an aeroplane, so one person is contributing to produce more than a ton of CO2. Ton mean 1000 kilogram of carbon dioxide. So you can see how much carbon dioxide is produced by these aeroplanes. Now what happens to this carbon dioxide? So the carbon cycle, most of us are familiar. So we use energy, we consume energy, and as a result carbon dioxide is generated. And where does this carbon dioxide goes? That carbon dioxide goes to the surroundings, the surroundings of our green planet, the earth, and then it is recycled by the trees. It is absorbed by the sea as well, but most of it is recycled by the trees. So we produce carbon dioxide, we take oxygen in, produce carbon dioxide out. Similarly, when we burn something, we need energy, something burns, the carbon dioxide is produced again. Now what the tree does, they do opposite. They take the carbon dioxide with the process of photosynthesis using the sunlight, they break that CO2 and produce glucose and oxygen. So the glucose they either store within themselves, so the carbon is stored, the tree grows and the carbon is stored inside, and the oxygen is, they produce oxygen for us to inhale or for other purposes. So trees are the mechanism that we can use to compensate or we can say recycle our carbon dioxide. And when we talk about one tree, we need to know how much carbon dioxide it recycles or it uses. That varies depending on the which tree it is, what size it is. So 7 to 20 for a normal tree, it's 7 to 20 kg per annum carbon dioxide, not much. Okay, now let's do some calculation. Imagine someone who uses 20. Okay, imagine someone drives a car every day around 20 miles every day, and we can calculate the CO2. So it's 7,000 miles per annum in a year. If someone drives 20 miles every day, that means around 7,000 miles a year, and then we multiply it with zero point 0.4. So we know a mid level of car, when we drive it for 1 mile, it produces 0.4 kilogram of carbon dioxide. So we multiply 7,000 with zero point 0.4. So this is the amount of carbon dioxide that this car will produce in 1 year: 27 and 30 kilogram, 22,730 kilograms. We use computers. So on our desktop uses normally 150 watts, both the display and the processing unit. So say we use in our office, we use then at a home as well. So imagine we use a computer for 10 hours every day. We can check its calculate its kilowatt hour, which is 547 kilowatt hour in 1 year. And then we previously we saw like for every kilowatt hour, depending on which source the electric is produced, the carbon dioxide calculation we saw. And we assume like it's a mixture of coal, hydro, nuclear, and gas. So we did the mid range. So the mid range is 0.5 kilogram of carbon dioxide for every kilowatt hour. So if our computer uses 547 kilowatt hours in a year, and each kilowatt hour is producing zero point 0.5 kilogram, so it will produce 237 kilograms of carbon dioxide every year. Then lighting, we assume like the share of each person is like 100 watt for 20 hours, and that will produce 365 kilogram of oxygen. And for heating, I just did some assumption, although we use more than this. So I said okay, 3000 watts heating, 5 hours every day for 4 months, which is like cold months, and that is around 1800 kilowatt hour. And when we talk about the carbon dioxide, it's 900 kilograms every year. Now that person we said is traveling almost 10,000 kilometers, air kilometers, using a mid-range aircraft like 747, and it's like 10 multiplied by 107, because for every 1,000 kilometers the carbon dioxide produced per person is 107 kilograms. And because it's 10,000, so 10 multiplied by 107, so it's around 1 ton of carbon dioxide produced by the air travel. Now obviously we breathe, and we produce 0.9 kilogram of carbon dioxide every day, so it's 328 kilogram per year, and the total is around 5,666 kilogram of carbon dioxide, which is produced by only these kind of activities. Obviously we do a lot more than that. So okay, we also saw like one tree has the ability to absorb 7 to 20 kilogram of carbon dioxide per year. Let's take the maximum. We say okay, we assume like every tree absorbs 20 kilogram of carbon dioxide every year, and if we are producing 5,000 or more than 5,000 CO2 every year, then how many trees we need to compensate only for this person who's driving 20 miles every day, 150 watt computer is there for 10 hours, 100 watt of lighting for 20 hours, 3000 watt of heating 4 months, and only 10,000 kilometers a year. Now, how many trees that person need to compensate or to recycle the carbon dioxide that it has consumed or it has produced in that year? So 5,666 divided by 20. So it need at least 283 trees. 283 trees to compensate the carbon dioxide that it has used only by these few 5-6 activities within a year. Based on this situation, the recommendation is, first of all, don't waste. So save as much energy as possible. There are so many ways to save. We can do search on, we can do some search, and there are some really great methods. Then the other is plant as much trees as possible. So this is the key point. When we are 6-7 billion here on this green planet, and we are using all these resources which are eating up energy every day, and we don't even care the environment. So at least we should take some responsibility and do our part. So if I know I'm using this much energy, which requires maybe 200, 300, 400 trees to recycle the carbon dioxide, so I should act on it. I should seriously act on it and should plant at least my part. I should plant as much trees as possible. If not, then at least I should plant the number of trees the equivalent to the carbon dioxide that I'm producing. So if everybody puts his share, then at least we can survive a bit more. Our environment will be better than what we expect if we don't plant. And then another thing is use energy from the renewable resources. So renewable resources like the waste, the wood, and the wind, and the tidal energy and the hydro energy. So these kind of power generations should be used instead of the oil, the gas, and the diesel.